Hello and welcome to Unprofessional Engineering. My name is James.
And you got Luke.
Luke, we're adding into our How It's Made series. This time,
This is going to be a how it's made, you think?
I think so.
A part of it's going to be how it's made.
At least part of it's how it's made, and we're talking about tires.
Or Tyres if you're in England.
Is that how they
They
spell it?
spell it with a Y.
Why don't they know how to speak and spell English?
But here's the crazy thing. So I think I've told our listeners before, I'm dyslexic, right? Whenever I spell tires, I inadvertently always do it with a Y rather than an I.
Okay.
So maybe everybody
Well, now
in
everyone's
Europe
getting to know you.
Yeah, maybe
That's
everybody
great.
in Europe is dyslexic and
We'll check
has
with Paul and Neil.
problems
and
with the
see.
spells.
Okay. All right. So let's not talk about how it's made. Let's talk about how it was made.
I think so.
Okay. Little history.
Little history.
And it's not me this time.
Yeah.
All right.
What do you mean it's not you?
I'm not the one that did all the history.
Oh,
Normally,
yeah.
that's my job.
I didn't do like all the histories. So
Okay, let's hear it.
basically, 3500 BC.
That's reasonable.
That's reasonable, right?
Yeah.
You know, so 3500 BC, this guy by the name of invented. I'm kidding. I don't know. Maybe that was his
It
name.
might have been.
So basically, considered
He invented the
wheel.
Oh, the wheel.
Yeah.
Not the tire.
the wheel.
Okay.
The wheel is the tire, essentially. I mean,
Oh, boy.
cars wouldn't work with square wheels, tires.
You might.
So basically, 3500 BC is roughly when they estimate that the wheel was invented. And,
Okay.
And this revolutionized like everything. So, you know, before this, you can only carry so much. You can only carry it a certain distance. So this was a huge monumental thing that
Sure.
we benefit from now today. I think we would have been smart enough to figure it out on our own if this guy didn't do it.
I wonder.
But, you know,
I mean, you would have been.
yeah.
Okay.
So moving forward a really long time, wheels
Forward a few thousand years.
Wheels and tires, and I'm going to use wheels and tires kind of interchangeably here a little bit, because now when we think of wheels, it's the inside metal part and tires are the outside rubber part, but they were different back in the day, so
Okay.
we're just going to say wheels
Okay.
for this old stuff. So back in the day, the first wheels were typically made out of wood. Think of a wagon wheel. You know, you have a center wooden hub, you have the spindles going out from the center, and it was literally steel. And I couldn't imagine riding on like wood and steel. I
How
mean,
long ago was this?
so this is like the olden days. I don't know.
Okay, the
I don't-
olden days.
I don't have exact dates whenever I did this when I did this research.
So in the olden days, it was wood and steel.
It's more of like a progressive thing. So it was wood, steel, and then what they started to do was they started to add leather to the exterior of it
nice
to
and
kind of
soft.
soften it
Yeah.
a little bit. I mean, I can't imagine it softens it all that much. Then they finally start to use rubber. And they're using natural rubber. And the problem with natural rubber is that it reacts differently in different temperatures. So the biggest problem is when it gets hot, rubber gets
Hard.
hot. You're so bad at this. When it gets hot, rubber gets sticky
that was
and it
funny.
melts. So like in like the ideal temperature. So if it was like 60 degrees and it wasn't humid or sunny,
Sure.
rubber tires work just fine. But the minute it got hot, it got sticky and wet and gooey and they didn't work.
So
and then
you couldn't use it in the South. You only
Exactly.
could use it in Pittsburgh.
no,
a couple months of
no,
the year.
exactly, because the exact same thing happens the opposite when it gets cold.
Oh,
Rubber gets brittle and it cracks.
So you couldn't use these anywhere.
I mean, maybe Southern California.
Maybe. Yeah.
Maybe.
San Diego, they were rolling.
If you were on the coast with
Yeah.
the breeze. So rubber. So there were rubber tires before vulcanization. So basically, Spock shows up,
Yeah,
lands
true.
on Earth. Vulcan. Exactly.
Live long and prosper.
So what starts happening is in 1893, Charles Goodyear.
Chuck.
Good old Chucky, friend of the show. He's credited with discovering vulcanization. And the crazy thing is, this was accidental. I don't know if you heard the history on this. He was in his
No.
laboratory, and he accidentally mixed rubber and sulfur at a higher temperature. And what happens is there's some kind of molecular bonding and substructures. And basically what happens is, and he had no idea what it was, he just knew that it worked, is the rubber became stable.
Okay.
The rubber could be hot and not melt. It could be cold and not get brittle.
I swore that in one of our Civilization SmackDown episodes,
Okay.
we claimed that one of them may have potentially found vulcanization or discovered it, but that it kind of went away, and then
it was the
Goodyear-
Aztecs,
yeah,
because
and then
they
Goodyear
were-
stole it.
Yeah.
Okay, just to make sure.
Yeah. So, fun fact, the Goodyear company, I just assumed, I heard the name Charles Goodyear. I just assumed Charles Goodyear owned the Goodyear company.
Why wouldn't he?
He does not.
Who does?
So
Do I?
40 years after, no, you don't. 40 years after he died, a company actually used his namesake for the name of this. So Goodyear is not like
No
a family
way.
Goodyear company. They just used his namesake.
Oh.
Some Sinclair guy, I think, was his name that initially started Goodyear.
Because he discovered vulcanization,
They wanted
they
to use
named
his
it after
namesake.
him. That's really okay.
I think it's pretty cool.
That's way better than like Boeing being named after Boeing.
Exactly.
Or Microsoft being named after Microsoft.
But here's the crazy part. Exactly. Bill Microsoft.
Yeah, nothing? Okay.
So, tires were solid. I didn't know this either.
Yeah.
I just assumed tires were always like we think of tires now, but they were hard, solid rubber, which super heavy. They're still not super shock absorbent. And then what happens with vulcanization is they start moving to all these different kinds of generations of tires leading up to what we have now, our radial tires. So for a while there, they went to what are called pneumatic tires. So these were tires
Pneumatic with a P?
pneumatic with a P.
Like pneumonia?
Pneumatic tires. Pneumatic tires, I think is how you properly say
Okay.
it. So these were tires that actually were, they had an inner tube inside of them, like you think of your bicycle tires.
Yeah.
So there was a tube inside of it. And this happened back in the early 1800s, but it didn't catch on. And then this Irish cat in Belfast, John Boyd Dunlop the name, he became the second inventor of it, and he reinvented it.
Reinvented the wheel.
He said he had no knowledge of this guy by the name of Robert W. Thomas's invention, a Scottish guy. But you know, Scotch and Irish
Yeah,
people, they don't get along too
right.
well. So he got the credit for it, and it really took off. And then it moved to what's called a bias ply tire, very similar to the
Hold on,
tube-
important
shoot.
point here, or question. Do you think Dunlop named the company after himself, or somebody was like, you know what, he did such a great job stealing this idea, we'll name the company
I
after him?
guarantee you he named it after himself.
Okay, he seems like that kind of
Yeah,
guy.
he does. He does. 'Cause he
Thief.
stole it from his Scottish
Yeah.
cousin. So then bias.
It's well known that Irishmen are pirates and thieves.
is.
Okay, continue.
Next came the bias ply tire. Again, they had an inner type tube that would aid, and they had all these plies that were on top of it. And then finally, they came up with, it happened in about 1948 over in Europe, and it wasn't like the commercially available one, but that's where radial tires kind of started. And then the very first one was Continental, I believe was the name of the tire. The very first commercialized radial tire the way we think of it. And the reason they're called radial tires is they put radial patterns of steel and fabric, like cotton and whatnot, to reinforce the tires.
Which blows my mind that fabric and cotton strands are there to reinforce, which makes sense, though, because of the, that they can stretch and whatnot, I guess. But, boy, that's so strange to me that reinforces it.
So I do want to talk real quickly.
I want you to
if
as
you
well.
still have some more time.
Man, I have so much
about
time.
Charles Goodyear, because I think we got to give this cat a little bit more credit. So Charles Goodyear, he was born December 29th, 1800. He was, and I
Pretty
love
old.
this. This is not the first time I've said this phrase. He was a self-taught chemist and manufacturing engineer. You got to love these people back in the day. Self-taught? Like, how does that work?
Right? I'd be out working the field or something.
Yeah,
I
you
don't
would
know.
be for sure. So he was the person that developed vulcanization for rubber. He received a patent for this back in 1844 from the U.S. Patent Office. The specific patent number, fun fact, is 3633.
Is that really fun?
That's just unique.
Okay,
you
unique
know.
fact.
Again, these are topics that you can use in dinner time conversation with
That's
your friends.
true.
So he died on July 1st, 1860. So he didn't live all that long, just
He
into
really
his 60s.
didn't.
No.
Wow,
But
that's
he
too
did
bad.
a lot, though.
Yeah.
He was on his way to visiting his daughter. Unfortunately, she died while he was on his way. He collapsed, died.
She lived even less than him.
I know.
Man.
Well, back in the day, I mean, everybody had
a long life
typhoid
then,
and
yeah.
you know, the mumps would kill
Dysentery,
people. Nowadays,
broken axle.
Exactly.
Didn't shoot enough buffaloes.
So he died. He died, and then again, the Goodyear Tire Company was founded for his namesake by Frank Sebring.
Frank.
Seberling. Seberling. Yeah, so that was in 1896, so almost 40 years after he died.
Wow, that's kind of crazy that they would use his name. That still just blows me away.
I like it.
I do too.
I wonder if his family got money from it.
Probably not. He probably wasn't that generous.
So that's kind of the history behind tires, the progression of tires, the cat that invented the vulcanization process, not Spock.
Not Spock. I would say that you did a fantastic job of giving us the history. Maybe you should be in charge of this.
Nah, you're better with the dates. I'm more just like, here's what happened.
Then sometime the wheel came and it was made out of wood. Okay, so moving on. Let's take a break for this week's word from our sponsor.
I'm assuming it's Goodyear, Dunlop, Continental.
It actually is all of them combined not supporting us at all, which hurts.
It does.
But we do have shout-outs from our wonderful listeners. Woo. Emery D. I think I'm saying that right.
Okay.
Living in Poland and growing our fan base there.
Polish pride. I love it.
It's amazing looking at our stats and all the different countries that listen. I don't know why.
I'm going to Poland maybe.
Are you?
Yeah, my wife's Polish and we really want to go to Poland.
Let me know how that is.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
Don't make any jokes about them.
No. I love Polish people. My wife's
Matthew
Polish.
M. also wrote in. Comes from the land down under. We're being very diverse this episode.
Day, mate.
Enjoys hearing about the good and the bad of Pittsburgh, which we throw into our episodes because that's where we are based. Potentially the best podcast in Pittsburgh. He's from Melbourne, and it also has goods and bads. Probably like dingoes eating your baby. No? Maybe. I assume that's one of the bads.
Yeah.
Everything there eats your baby.
I love that we have international shout-outs. Are these the first two international? No, we've had Canada. But I don't know if that's international.
We had Ireland. Remember we had the whole Irish mob.
Our
and then
Irish mafia.
Yeah, we have a bunch.
That's awesome. I like when we specifically call them out as international.
Okay, well, I'll start calling out their
And now
countries.
we got places to crash when we visit.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. So watch out, folks. We're on our way.
So
when we're on our international tour.
I think our next challenge is to be for our listeners. We need to find the most unique country. Like we need like someone from like Zimbabwe.
Yeah, if you're from Zimbabwe, right in, or some other weird country.
Yeah,
I mean,
not weird, but like unique country that you typically don't hear of. It's not
not America.
Yeah. So
cool.
Make sure you send in those notes to us. Subscribe. Give us the reviews because the reviews are the currency of podcasting.
Man, you're really nailing that one.
I'm going to keep using that one again.
Yeah, I like that. That's good.
But,
that's right. Yeah. Email us, unprofessionalengineering@gmail.com. Hop on iTunes or wherever you listen. Subscribe and review. And I guess that's it. Let's move on.
Yes.
How about we talk about the parts of a tire?
I so want to talk about the parts of a tire.
Do you really want to? Because I do. And we're rarely on the same page.
So you and I are going to have a fight here a little bit later on about the most important part of a vehicle.
Okay, that's good.
And I think it's a tire. You don't necessarily think that it is. And after you describe the parts of a tire.
All right, the parts of a tire.
Shoot.
The beads. Have you heard of them?
Like
the
Mardi Gras beads.
Like the Mardi Gras beads. Check out our episode on creating Mardi Gras floats.
They're inside the tire?
They are inside the tire.
Okay.
They're actually made of high-strength steel coated in rubber, and they create a really tight seal, airtight some might say, between the tire and the rim of the wheel.
I love that you and I cut and paste from the exact
I was going to say
website.
that, but I felt like maybe we shouldn't make everyone aware of that fact. But we actually conversed ahead of time to make sure we had the same parts.
Yeah.
Because I did see them listed as different parts on other websites.
Yeah, it's funny. So
weird.
different tire manufacturers rather call them slightly different things.
I stole from Michelin, I believe.
That's where I got mine.
Is it? Good. So then there's the belt. So steel belts, like you said, you already mentioned this. Steel belts are placed around the tire to make it stronger and to make it more rigid as well. And so these are made out of sheets of steel wire that are woven together. That's the sound of weaving.
It is?
Yes, and then coated in rubber. Like all of this is coated in rubber. What a shock.
They make them out of Kevlar too. I
that crazy?
almost bought a pair of these. So back in the day, I was thinking I wanted to get into super fly off-roading.
Yeah, super fly.
And they have Kevlar off-roading tires that are, Kevlar's bulletproof, right? And I guess the idea is it would be puncture-proof for rocks and scratches and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But they're really expensive compared to like a regular tire.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Yeah. Did you ever see where they were thinking about making bulletproof stuff out of like, I think it was like spider silk or something like that?
I do remember seeing that. It was spiders and silkworms.
Silkworms. Yeah. Very interesting. Okay, next, the ply. Do you want to talk about the ply?
Yeah, so the plies are the layers of fabric that make up the tire. Yeah, the fact that there's fabric in tires, I guess whenever I've seen cut tires, you can kind of see that, like it's that frayed material. Mm-hmm. So these are typically fiber cores that are woven together, and they're coated with rubber, so it's almost like it's like a blanket, really.
It keeps them warm.
Yeah, it is, but it's I don't know what the ratio is, but in all the pictures and videos I saw, it looked like it's like more fabric than it is rubber in the pictures. And basically what that does is that's going to allow them to be flexible, and then they layer these in individual plies, and they do it really specifically in different angles to get like different strengths of materials.
Yeah.
So
that's
and they do that
and
they do that to add obviously the strength of the tire and the rigidity, so it just doesn't pull. Like if you did them all in one direction, a tire would just pull apart.
Right.
So
very good. Like a composite.
Yeah, exactly like a composite. Like when you think of carbon fiber weaving, they do the same thing.
Exactly. Man, science.
There's
2 types of plies. I don't know if I can say this one right, but I'm going to call it carcass. It's a carcass ply. It's a thin textile fiber cords bonded to the rubber and, makes it stronger. It can resist force up to 33 pounds. Then there's the cat ply, and this is to reduce friction, heating, and helps maintain the shape of the tire when you're driving. So each ply has its different use. So then there's the sidewall. Everybody knows the sidewall of the tire,
It's got all those sweet numbers on it that no one understands.
I'm going to help you understand those tires here, or those numbers eventually.
Nice.
So the sidewall is the area of thick rubber that runs from the bead to the tread and gives the tire the lateral stability.
And why is lateral stability important?
I don't know, Luke. Why?
So imagine you're driving.
I'm imagining right now. My eyes are closed.
They're closed. So are mine. Not while we're driving. And you turn the wheel.
We should have done this while we drove. Missed an opportunity. Okay, so continue.
Just imagine turning, and if you didn't have lateral stability, the part of the tire that contacts the road, and then the tire itself, if they don't turn at the same time,
the wheel itself,
it would feel like you're driving on marshmallows. It would smear, and you wouldn't be able to corner well. So that's why the more lateral stability you have, typically the more expensive the tire is.
Yeah.
They have different speed ratings. I think
they
you'll
do.
probably
I'll get into that
them.
too.
But typically they're more expensive because there's far more material giving it more lateral stability. They tend to be a little narrower tires too. That way, like a big fat tires, they're going to shift laterally one from the kind of where the rim is to where the tread touches the ground. But they're typically smaller and they don't shift a lot. So it's not like driving on marshmallows.
All right. What part's next?
Next part is called the spine and groove.
It's a total lie. It is not called a spine. Try again.
Oh, I'm looking right at it. Why'd I throw an E in there? It's a sipe and grooves. What the heck was I looking at? Sipe. And I even read this twice. So sipes, and I never knew this is what they were called. Yeah. So when you look at the tread blocks on the actual tread itself, these are the super deep grooves, and these things get out like rocks and dirt and mud and snow. And then the sipes are the little teeny tiny smaller grooves in between those, and those are for extra grip. They help again with shedding water, and that's what you see on the face of the tire.
Have you ever seen the videos of those monster tires, like for backhoes and stuff, that have a big gouge out of them, and the people are in there like working it to
because
fix
those
it?
Tires are like thousands and thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
You don't just go get new ones.
All right, a couple more parts. The shoulder. So it has the small beveled edge where the tread meets the sidewall, and it's there to that was good. It's how your tire helps you take corners. So that's important. And then tread. And this is, I think everyone knows tread, right? So this is technically the area of the tire where the rubber meets the road. Is that where they get the saying? Or the rubber meets the road. I think so. It provides cushioning and grip, and its design and compound determine many of your tire's most important features. So the compound, which we're going to get into here a little bit as we're talking about how it's manufactured, can be made up of all sorts of different things. So like you were saying, it's not just rubber.
Yeah, there's all kinds. Actually, I heard somewhere, depending on the formulation, it can be upwards of 200 different.
I saw that too.
For the entire tire, including, but the rubber itself is usually somewhere between 40 and 80 different materials that they put into it. And accelerators and stuff like that.
So before we get into how it's actually manufactured and some other neat things, let's take a break for this week's Luke's rant.
Okay, so here's my rant. It's tire prices.
Oh my goodness.
Have you had to get so you own a big full-size truck.
I do.
I have a little mid-size Tacoma that I've talked about in the show before, and it is bananas.
It is.
How expensive tires are. Like, it's ridiculous. And the bigger the vehicle, obviously, and I get it's physically more rubber, but I don't understand. So tires for my wife's Subaru Outback, I could pick them up for like, I don't know, $90 a pop. Kind of a mid-grade, not super expensive. Installed, I'm out the door, $450 for a full set of tires. My truck, not the case. No. It's like $1,000 for my truck.
Yeah.
It is crazy.
And if you blow one tire somehow, you're screwed because you still have to buy all four, which is just the worst.
And so part of it is my own. I never rotate my tires. I know I'm supposed to, and the places even offer free rotation in most cases.
I'm good.
So all-wheel drive vehicles, you typically have to do all four at the same time. Trucks, if you rotate them, you could probably be okay and just get two at a time, but it's always four at a time because you never rotate them.
Right.
And I don't understand how they're so expensive.
Me neither.
And
drop your prices, Michelin.
Well, no, it's not just that. And I would be okay paying what I pay for them if they had a much longer life. I don't know how many times I've blown tires, and I've had them for like 6 months, and then I got to go buy another $275 tire. So I don't know. But what I like is I've seen these ones. They're like for the military, where there's no air in them.
Oh yeah, I've seen those on the internet.
There's like a cell kind of pattern inside of it.
Yeah.
But I guess
never flats.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess the problem with them is they're not very cushioning. They're very noisy. They're not forgiving the way. Lateral stability is difficult with them. But something like that would be interesting.
All right. Well, you're unhappy about tire prices. I got it.
Well, the reason is I got to buy a new set of tires probably next 2 weeks.
That makes sense. Yeah. I probably will too next time it needs inspected. All right, so the manufacturing process. So rubber is the main ingredient to tires, but it's not the only one, as we've mentioned. So most of the parts are covered in rubber in some form, but it's not just pure rubber, as you've made note of. It is a mix of rubber, both natural and synthetic, oils, additives, all sorts of other ingredients. Vulcanizers. Yes, Spock ears, all sorts of things. Up to 30 ingredients or even 200 for the whole wheel goes into the tire's rubber blend. And so the ingredients, so the proportions of each thing going in there depends on what the performance goal is for each of the tires. So if it's for higher speed or things like that, it's going to change. So before the tire is built, all the components, and if you want to see a visual of this, go check out like the How It's Made video.
It's a pretty cool video.
And it's
I never knew that's how they were made.
The machinery is crazy that's used, and the whole process is automated basically. Yeah. So this is pretty nuts. So before it's built, all the components and the various rubber parts of the tire are mixed together in a Banbury mixer, apparently.
Yeah,
so
Banbury, yep.
That's inventor Fernley H. Banbury.
Oh.
For anyone who really cared.
Interesting.
So now that's another fact to share at your cocktail hour.
Okay.
There you go. How about that? And then they have a consistency like chewing gum. And once they're there, we're good to go. So the materials are sent to different machines where it's fabricated into all the different parts. And I'm really simplifying this because you can check it out, like getting rolled and cut into the certain lengths and things like that. Then once all the parts are made, they get sent to the tire building machine.
These are pretty impressive.
Now, I was looking for the name of this because the mixer has a name. Everything I saw just said tire building machine.
Yeah, that's exactly what I saw too.
So that was kind of
they're probably I guess proprietary to the manufacturer of the tire.
Probably. That makes sense. So on the machine goes the inner liner of rubber, the plies, the belts, the beads, the sidewalls, and the tread. And once all these are in place, the tire building machine presses them together. Smush.
Smush.
Presses them together. That's the noise it makes too. When the tire comes off of the building machine, it's called a green tire.
And this was crazy. I never knew that the tire tread pattern wasn't on the tread when they make the tire.
I did not know that.
Like when you look at a green one, it looks like it's smooth. It's literally like looks like a donut, like an old school like Popeye tire.
Right. So the tires haven't cured.
Yeah.
They don't have that grooves
still
in
sticky.
there. Yeah, it's still sticky. Kind of like the old ones if it got hot, right?
Mm-hmm.
See how that worked? So the green tires go into a mold where they're inflated, and inflating the tires causes them to smush against the mold, and this results in the mold imprinting the tread pattern on the tire, and the tire information on the tire as well.
And then it gets hot.
Yeah, and so while the mold is heated to over 300 degrees, which is not that many degrees in C, it's cured. To cure it, it just kind of does that for about 15 minutes for passenger tires, and then other tires could take up to a whole day to cure.
So interesting about the temperature is
the vulcanization process.
That's the vulcanization process. It's taking the rubber with all the different compounds that go into it, sulfur and all this other stuff, and the temperature used to have to be a lot higher. Apparently back in the day, Charles Goodyear day, and all these additives and all these different formulations brought the temperature down. So literally, you're making that like at a lower temperature than what you bake cookies at.
Yeah.
Isn't that kind of crazy when you think about that?
That is really crazy.
Like you would think it would have to be like 1,000 degrees. But no, it's 300 degrees.
That's very interesting. Oh, man. What's your favorite cookie? Have we covered this before?
My favorite cookie is a Snickerdoodle, soft only.
All right. So all that stuff on the side of your tire.
No idea what it means.
Me neither until I looked this up. So the tire type, that first letter in the front, if you have a P on there, that stands for passenger.
Oh.
You might also see something like an LT on there, and that would be for like a light truck vehicle.
So you and I probably have LTs on ours.
We probably have LTs. I'll have to go look at that. So the next number is the tire width. So in my example that I stole from the internets, it's like P215. And so the tire width the width of the tire measured in millimeters from sidewall to sidewall. So the first 3-digit number in the tire refers to this width. All right, so the next one.
So a 215 is about 7 feet wide.
It's a 7-foot wide tire, for sure.
Yeah, because it's millimeters to feet.
Accurate conversion, yes. The next number after the slash is the aspect ratio, so the ratio of the height to the width. Aspect ratio. The next number isn't a number at all, it's a letter. That's the construction. So if you have the letter R in a tire size, it stands for radial, which means the layers run radially across the tire. And then the next number is the wheel diameter. So
this is the small hole, the hole in the center of the tire, basically.
Yep. But it's the diameter of the wheel in inches.
What?
Yeah.
How stupid is that?
Why would that be the case?
That should be my rant. Why is the wheel diameter inches, but the tire width is in millimeters?
Yeah, that's so stupid. So then we also have something for what were we calling it? The speed rating?
Speed rating.
So starting at L and going up to Y depends on the speed rating for your tire. So L is 75 miles per hour off-road and light truck tires. M is 81 for temporary spare tires that we all know and love so much. And if you go up to Y, it's 186 miles per hour for exotic sports cars.
That's what I need.
And so what I was thinking is, in the Corvette, I wonder if they're Ys, but I also wonder what happens if you're going like 200. Do you need special tires for that then that I don't have listed here?
I would think
or are these things just going to fly apart and
they're
I'm going to die?
There's probably specialty tires because if you think about like drag racing and certain racing, I mean, they're going well over, 186. I mean, that's like the average speed for NASCAR, I think.
Yeah. So that's pretty fast.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm going to have to check that out on the different vehicles and see what they look like. Take a look at those numbers. But I thought it was interesting that those numbers actually have a meaning. They're
I like how you
fun.
just casually dropped, the Corvette.
It's the wife's Corvette, if that makes it any better. All right, some fun facts. Do you have anything else before I move on to those?
I don't think I do. Let's hear your fun facts.
These are fun. Who is the biggest tire manufacturer?
Continental.
Fun fact, Lego manufactures more tires than any other tire manufacturer.
That wasn't a fair question.
They produce approximately 318 million tires per year.
I hate you.
Come on, that's pretty cool, though, right?
You are the worst.
8 tire companies provide the tires for all of the new car market in the United States. Michelin is the largest, with 29% of new cars sold in this country.
That seems like a lot.
I think they're doing okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. Rubber. The rubber that tires are made with is naturally white. Did you know that?
Yeah, they have to add the...
Yeah, they add carbon black to make it black, and it helps make it more durable
white
as
tires
well.
would be pretty cool.
It would be sweet. I think we should put those on one of your...
Hipsters would buy them for sure.
Just like their white belts and their dirty
their
beards.
And their white shoes.
And their smelliness. That's not nice. The world's largest tire is in Allen Park, Michigan, which makes sense.
Of course.
It's 80 feet tall and weighs just 12 tons.
What's it used for?
Decoration, I assume. Continental Tire has produced and tested the first tire. This is really cool. The first tires where the tread is made 100% out of dandelion natural rubber as a polymer. If they need more, come to my yard. There are so many dandelions.
You need a little weed and feed.
Yeah. The last fun fact. The space shuttle's main wheels are approximately the size of those found on an 18-wheeler. However, one space shuttle tire can support just 142,000 pounds and is rated for 259 miles per hour.
I think it's landing.
Probably need that, yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder what airplane tires are rated at.
I don't know.
Pretty good, too.
I would
Have you
think
ever seen videos of when one of those like tears off and the fire's just everywhere?
Yeah, it's not good.
Good times. All right. That's it for tires.
This was way more interesting than I thought.
You know what? Doing the research, I was like, way to go, Luke.
Yeah.
Watched another one. Well, it turns out this was pretty okay.
Yeah.
I think it was our charming personalities.
It was.
As always. All right. Hopefully everyone else thought this one was pretty okay as well. If you thought so, let us know at unprofessionalengineering@gmail.com. And until next time.
See ya.